everyone. Welcome to my first live feed. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, I'm realizing that I'm going to have to change up my format just a little bit. And because I can't go tour other vans right now, but I still want to help you with your van builds and your ideas and still bring ideas to you. And so I thought as a professional van build, as a professional designer, that I would offer a Q&A for free. So you can come on and ask your questions. The way it's going to work is you're going to put your questions in the chat, and Dawn is going to let me know what the questions are as they come in, and she'll sort them out and make sure that they make sense. So to start off, I want to just give you an answer to a question that I get a lot, and that is, what van? So what do you recommend for what van I should get? And so of course that's going to depend on your resources. It's going to depend on your specific needs and your style of travel. And so I like the European style cargo vans, and there are four main competitors in the European style cargo van category. So the one that I'm in is the Sprinter. I'm in the 170 wheelbase high top Sprinter. There is the Sprinter. Some of the things that I like about the Sprinter, I love the fuel economy. It is a diesel. It has great power. I haven't gotten stuck anywhere, and I probably should have, but it's gotten me out of everything. It's really high, so you can be 6'3" and still stand upright. I mean, you'll be right at the ceiling if you're 6'3", but still, it's kind of narrow, and I like that for driving on windy roads and things like that. The biggest downside to the Sprinter is that the repairs. So not only are the repair shops hard to find, so you have to have a diesel mechanic and preferably a Sprinter shop, especially when it's in under warranty still. You're going to have to find either a Mercedes or a Freightliner Sprinter shop. And the repairs are expensive. So they're harder to come by and they're more expensive. Your second option would be the Dodge ProMaster, and that's a really popular option. One of the things is that they're really easy to find. So they're about $10,000 less than the Sprinter, and they're so they're wider. They're a tiny bit shorter, but I don't know how much shorter. I think it's maybe an inch or two shorter. They're much easier to repair because you can go to any Dodge dealer and have them repaired. They are gas powered and they are front wheel drive. So that is a plus for a lot of folks. It's also easier to find good deals on used ProMasters. With Sprinters, they tend to hold their value in the next couple of years. And so it's harder to get a good deal on a more recent model used Sprinter. The third one is the Ford Transit, and that is a really great option. It's only $1,000 less than the Sprinter, so it is a little pricey when you're looking at new ones.
And the ProMaster, isn't it?
Huh?
It's $1,000 less than the ProMaster,
no,
not the Sprinter.
The Sprinter.
It's
yes.
Sorry.
Dawn's asking me.
Yeah.
It is $1,000 less than the Sprinter, new off the lot, but you could probably negotiate a lot more. The cool thing about the Transit is that the metal seems to be a lot harder, a lot more sturdy. So I was talking to a builder, and they've built all three different brands, and he didn't know what that metal was, but it really chewed up the screws compared to the other two. And then the fourth one is a little bit different, and that's the Nissan Envy. And that one has a greater towing capacity. So if you need a van that can tow a trailer or tow something, That one has a great towing capacity, it has a great warranty. The problem is that the nose is really long, so you can get, for the same outside length, you get a lot shorter inside living space.
So you have some questions.
Okay, great. So we have questions.
First, the people want to know how your arm is.
I figured that that was going to be one of my first questions. I can almost straighten it. I'm so excited. Yesterday, I was able to brush my teeth with my right hand for the first time. Today is exactly 1 month since I broke it. So I'm actually really happy with how it's going.
Okay, your next question. There's a question. Is that a standalone speaker system above your head? Please explain that setup.
Okay, so it is not. So the speakers above my head, behind me, and the back at the back of the van are hooked into my regular stereo for driving. That stereo is actually hooked into my main batteries, so I can have it on all the time. So my main stereo system in the van is the dashboard stereo. It is an upgraded Kenwood, and it has GPS and stuff like that, and so that gives me great sound in the van.
Great. Have you ever felt a need for a four-wheel drive van?
I haven't, but I do have off-road tires, so I if I were to do a new Sprinter, I would probably do four-wheel drive, but I haven't really needed it, and I think it's because I have the BF Goodrich KO2s, and those are really beefy all-terrain tires.
Great. Somebody wants to know, in your experience, what is a good amount of battery power needed? Say a person uses a Vitamix, Instapot, and a computer.
Okay.
And that's from Jackie Horn.
Excellent. Thanks for your question, Jackie. I do have the Vitamix, the Instant Pot. That requires a pretty good size inverter. So you need to have an almost 3,000 watt inverter to be able to run the Vitamix. And I would say, depending on your style of travel, if you drive a lot and you have your alternator charging your house batteries, I think 300 amp hours of lithium. Now, I am a huge proponent of lithium. And so 300 amp hours of lithium would run that whole system. I think 400 would give you that peace of mind. And then I actually have 500. I rarely go below 90%. So I have way too much battery power.
Great. What would you suggest as the least expensive way to get started with a van?
Okay, so the least expensive way to get started with a van would be a minivan. So I did help design the Homes on Wheels Alliance minivan prototype. You can actually download the directions for that on the homesonwheelsalliance.org website. And so with a minivan, you can get started. You can get a really good minivan, used older minivan, for $3,000 to $5,000, and then a few $100s in the build, and you can get on the road. Of course, you're not going to be able to stand up in a minivan, but that design is actually really comfortable and really livable.
Betsy Reed wants to know, who is your service for towing?
Hi, Betsy. Thanks for your question. I actually did have to get towed about a month and a half ago. And my roadside service was expired. So I was using the Escapees roadside service. I don't know how they work because mine was expired when I needed it. It was only $150 to get towed. So it wasn't too terribly bad. It was 20 miles that I had to tow.
Mm-hmm. People are saying, Susan says, I know a lot of people are recommending the lithium batteries now, but I have heard that if you are in temperatures below freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, that's not good for the batteries. It didn't hurt mine.
So who was that?
Susan.
Susan. Hi, Susan. Thanks for your question. So if you put your lithium batteries inside your van where you're living, it's not going to drop down to 32 degrees where your batteries are. I highly recommend the lithium, especially if you're going to be in your van for a long time. They have a 10-year life, and they're actually cheaper over the life of the battery than any other battery.
That's what did you do? What kind of work did you do before your van life?
I've done a lot of things, but for the past almost 9 years, I've been a doTERRA wellness advocate, and I still am. So, on the road and in a sticks and bricks, that's what I've been doing.
And so you can go to a free question. Let's see. I can't. No more questions. Ask if there are more questions.
Do you have any more questions? We've run out, but I'm sure you guys have more, so give them to me. One of the things that I get asked a lot is what, if anything, would I change in my build? I do absolutely love my build, and I'm always finding what I call happy surprises with it. Things that obviously I had designed because I designed it all, but I hadn't thought of that particular usage or being able to store that particular thing. So a good example of that is my ladder. I got an extending ladder. I don't know, about almost a year in, and I ended up having a shelf that fit it exactly. So things like that. I definitely would build it differently if I were to build it all over again. One of the things that I would do is switch the refrigerator and the sink. So my refrigerator is at my sliding glass or my sliding door, and my sink is over here on the driver's side. And I would switch those for a couple of reasons. I don't like the sun when the door's open. I don't like to have the sun shining on my fridge because it's just not good for the fridge. It gets warm. And I would like to have the sink over there because it could actually double as a makeshift shower at the door. And I think it would be better weight-wise to have the water on the passenger side. So that's just one of the things that I would change.
Betsy is asking, where are you getting water?
So in general or right now? So in general, I get water at gas stations, dump stations, rest areas. In California, you can get water anywhere. They're required to give you water anywhere for free. Yeah.
Water machines. Well, not you so
I
much.
don't, yeah.
And then a friend.
Yeah, and friends. I often actually fill up at friends' houses.
When planning for weight distribution, is it also important to keep the weight lower rather than in the upper cabinets?
Oh,
yeah. And how have you done that?
My van is heavy. Just
repeat the question. I don't
okay. Oh yeah. So the question is weight distribution. Is it important to keep the weight lower in the van rather than having it up high? And how important is weight? And weight is really important. My van is very heavy. When I worked with a custom builder. He's a tiny house builder, and he was really wanting. He thought these vans could just handle as much weight as we wanted to throw at it, and I kept saying, no, we need to go lighter. So he was kind of insistent on 3/4 inch wood. I would definitely do 1/2 inch wood. I would definitely work on putting the weight lower in the van, but that's going to happen naturally. One of the things that I did was I did open cabinets, and I love it. I would never put upper cabinet doors on the upper cabinets. For a number of reasons. Nothing falls out of here. You can actually put a lot more in a bin because you can access all of it. And so that, so you can actually get more in your upper cabinet. You can, nothing has fallen out except for this one towel. So that's not a big deal. And I have books and all kinds of things in the upper cabinet. It has, a 3-inch lip, I think, is what it has there. So it works great.
Next question from Jackie is two ceiling fans versus one ceiling fan. Which do you think is better?
Okay.
Repeat the question.
So So what's better, two ceiling fans or one? I think where you put your ceiling fans is important. I think one is sufficient. I have two, and they're what, 2 or 3 feet apart. And the only reason I have that is because I started with a ceiling fan and then an air conditioner, and the cheapest way to take out the air conditioner and fill that 14-inch hole was to put in a second ceiling fan. So that's why I have two. I am in a unique position to actually give recommendations on brands of ceiling fans. So my forward ceiling fan is a fantastic fan. My rear fan is a Max Air.
You're out of focus. Move forward.
And the Max Air is way quieter. I far prefer the Max Air. So I have a friend. It's what is his company name? Picavo, and he actually makes fans that fit in the back where the wood is in the back doors, and that is really great. So you're not putting holes in your ceiling, and you still get that airflow, and you especially get airflow over the bed. So this area back here gets really warm, and so having airflow over the bed would be preferred.
We're having a technical difficulty where you're out of focus.
Okay.
So I don't know what we're doing. I can't tell whether it's you moving or not, but you look a little fuzzy.
I think it might be the fact that we are boondocking and don't have great signal.
Okay.
So
There you go. That's all we can do.
yeah, we're one of the downsides to everyone being home and everyone being on their phones is that the signal's a little bit lower now for us full timers. So we're streaming as well as we can where we are. So sorry if I'm out of focus.
You are being asked, what is your worst breakdown or van problem, cost-wise or repair time?
Okay, well, I've had two. And the first one was getting gas in my diesel tank, and I actually made a video about that. That one wasn't that big of a deal, other than it was costly. But every repair is costly with a Mercedes. I think it was around $900. The biggest breakdown I've had was just a month and a half ago when I had to get towed, and that was a fuel pump. A fuel injector? I don't know. It was something like that. I don't remember. But it just went out. And the worst part of that was that I would be driving and the van would just stop. Like it would stop it would turn off. And so I wouldn't have power steering or anything. And so I would just have to yank the wheel to get over to the side of the road. So that was a little touchy, and it would just run out of power.
All right, next question from Mr. Andy CM. Do you have a diesel heater?
I do have a diesel heater, Andy. I love my diesel heater. So I have the Espar D2, and it is such a great luxury when you wake up on a cold morning. It's reasonably quiet. It takes almost no diesel, and it barely takes any electricity as well to run the fan. I have it mounted under my passenger seat. It warms the floor. It warms the whole van. I love it.
Betsy asks, any problems with the critters chewing wires? Through few people with this problem.
Okay, Betsy is asking about critters chewing wires. I haven't had them chew wires. Just last night, I got my first mouse. So Mr. Melvin Mouse decided to join me in my van last night. He was very cute. Found him at 1:30 in the morning, and at 2 I actually got to see him. He really was very cute. Haven't caught him yet. My biggest worry is actually him chewing my wires. So I did have my hood up, or I went out and opened with my hood. So far so good.
And can you repeat the name of the fan company that installs in the upper back doors?
So yeah, that the fans that are installed in the back doors in where I have the wood back there is Pikavo. It's Pikavo.
And KJ asks, how wide is it between the lower cabinets where you're sitting? Is it a comfortable width, or would you change it if you could?
So that was KJ.
Repeat the question.
Oh, so KJ's asking how wide my aisle is right here between my counters, or I don't know, upper cabinets or lower.
It says lower.
Lower. Okay. I am not entirely sure. I think it's 30. I'm not sure. I actually have my plans right here. Let me look and see if I have that.
Mine's 25, and that looks a little wider than mine, but
Okay.
maybe 27.
It is as wide as my yoga mat. Just a little bit. It's like an inch or two wider than my yoga mat. And it's great. I actually love the width. Let's see here. What is it? Can I tell this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time.
Okay. You know what? I'm just going to grab the tape measure. That would be the fastest way to do that.
Where is it?
Hold on. Oops.
Ask if everybody can hear okay. And then you might want to just go on and say hi to everybody.
Yeah, so can everyone hear okay? Okay, so at the counter it is 25 and a half inches, and then so it's another inch below the counter. So, and
That's what I thought.
so yeah.
So yeah, can you see who's on there? Can you read the chat? Because if you can, I would say hi to people. Or not.
That would be better for you.
We don't have any questions.
No questions. Okay. What time is it?
It is
5:22. Okay. So so I thought I would share a resource. So the way I design, I don't do online designing. I probably should. I've thought about learning how to do that, but I really like to use paper and pencil. And what I do is I go to Sportsmobile, and they have a design your own, and so they have all the templates. So there's the Sprinter long wheelbase, and this is the long and the extra long. They've got the ProMaster.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got the ProMaster and the Sprinter 144, and I'm sure they have Transit as well. So so that's just a really great resource. That's Sportsmobile. I think it's just sportsmobile.com, and they have a design your own, and you can just print off these templates. So I'm curious, for those of you who are here, are you planning on building out a van? Are you in the process of building out a van? Where are you in the process?
Dreaming.
Yeah, are you dreaming? I'll tell you what, I learned about Sprinter vans. My cousin had a Sportsmobile, and I think it was 5 years before I actually got mine that I learned about it. I fell in love with her Sprinter, and she and her then husband traveled around the country for a year in their Sprinter, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I spent at least 2 years on the Sprinter Source Forum online, just learning as much as I possibly could about building out a van. And so I get it when you're in that process of what do I want, what van do I want, how do I want to format my van.
So the answer is KJ is currently building out a 144 Sprinter. Jackie's in the process of planning, to start in 2 months, a Dodge ProMaster. Yay! And let's see, we have a ProMaster purchase at the end of the year.
Great.
Rebecca's planning, but can't realistically build and live in a van until the kids graduate and fly the nest. And Liz V has bought a ProMaster van someone else built, and she's planning a remodel.
Cool.
And what else?
And just know, who was that's remodeling?
Remodeling is Liz, L-I-S-V.
Liz be. Um, so, so just one thing for all of you to know is that most people keep building their van. Most of the self-built vans are rarely ever done. So it's really common to just keep tinkering with it, and a lot of people really love that.
And live with it and build.
You live in it. You find something else to change. You dream about something else, or you see someone do something, and you decide, oh hey, I could do that better. Or so I'm one of the few people I know who designed it and had it built and pretty much live with how it is.
Why'd you ask them if they're having any design challenges?
So, are you having any design challenges? If you do,
Tough choices,
yeah, or if, any tough choices. If you do, throw them at me. Let me know. I love this sort of stuff. So, I love figuring these things out. I've seen a lot of vans, more than I've shown you guys. So,
okay. Well, Rebecca Voss says, I've never seen a design with a 45-degree diagonal floor plan between the cab and the rear bed. I like it on paper, but I wonder why no one else has designed anything like I've dreamed.
So a 45-degree
diagonal floor plan between the cab and the rear bed. Kind of like that.
Huh.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. So if your diagonal is going from the bed to the cab, so then you've got this. Is it a counter, or do you have floor space behind? I'm not quite. I'm not quite capturing the.
Well, maybe they can send you a picture of it, and we can or a link. Somebody says their design question is a toilet. They're considering a dry flush, but using it mainly with a kitty litter system. But there are issues with this. And there's also somebody says anything you would want to change in your design.
Okay, so let's tackle the
dry
toilet
flush?
question. Yeah. So I think I looked at Dry Flush. Is that I think that's a brand, maybe. Is it the one that uses a bag each time and you twist it, kind of like the diaper genie? And I know there's a little bit of a lag, so.
Well, there is somebody saying, can you talk a little bit more about toilet options in general?
Yeah, I can totally talk about toilets. So your options for toilets are, an RV toilet with a black tank. I would not recommend that for a van. You can get a porta potty, like a cassette toilet. A lot of people like those in vans. And so there's also a lot of people I know don't have a toilet at all, and have just a folding toilet for emergencies. A lot of people I know who do that will just leave their toilet at home when they go out because they just never use them. I really like the composting toilets. I think the Sea Head is the one that a friend of mine just put in her van. And I really like that one. It's nice and small, and it does need to get vented to the outside. It does take up more space than my system, but I really liked it. My system is, it's not the most environmentally friendly because I have plastic bags for my bucket poo system. But I can go for 2 weeks before replacing the bags, so it doesn't bother me too much. And I don't go garbage, so I probably use far fewer plastic bags than most people. I started out with using a product called poo powder. It was kind of expensive, and it didn't really work for poo. It really only solidifies pee, and I wasn't peeing in the bucket. So I switched to paper pet bedding, shredded paper pet bedding. It's nice and light, very compact. The last bag I bought was in August, and I'm about halfway through the bag right now. I and the bag is pretty compact and it fits right behind my driver's seat. And then I pee in pee bottles with a pee style, and I love it. It works great. While everyone was going out and hoarding toilet paper, I was like, oh, I'm good. I've got my one backup. I now am into my backup and wondering how I'm going to get my next one roll of toilet paper that will last me a month and a half or 2 months. But
What do you use instead?
so I use a pee rag for pee, and I only use toilet paper for poo.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Jackie is qualifying her answer, but before she uses Mylar bags inside that twist like a diaper genie.
Yeah. I did look at that, and I felt like it used a little too much plastic for my taste. I'm sure it would work great, though.
Mm-hmm. We don't have any questions.
There was another question, though, that I haven't answered yet. Oh, what would I change?
Yes, what would you change?
What would I change? So I've already talked about the sink fridge. I would probably, I like my fridge a lot. It's the isotherm, and but if I were to build another one, I would probably go with a less expensive fridge, because the isotherm is $1,600. That's just a little too much. It's kind of crazy, but I do like it, and it's cool. Like, I mean, it looks really nice. What else would I change? I would probably figure out how to put in a composting toilet, just because I think they're cool, and I would like to get away from the plastic bags.
Not much else.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I would like to think that I could get into the 144 wheelbase and not do the 170, because I would like to be able to park easier. But I don't know if I could at this point. I've been living in this for 2.5 years, a little more than 2.5 years, and I am so comfortable in here that I don't think I could.
Question is, from Rebecca, how important is having a water heater versus heating up water on the stove to maintain a fairly comfortable life?
Okay. So I almost never turn on my water heater. I did turn it on, 2 days ago, because we took showers off the back of the van. I don't heat my water to wash my dishes or wash my face unless it's really, really cold out, and then I'll treat myself to some hot water to wash my face in the morning. But from everything I've read about dishwashing, you don't actually need hot water to wash your dishes, and your dishes aren't in the hot water enough to make a difference. So just using a good biodegradable soap and some friction works just as well. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while I'll heat up some water if I've made something that's extra greasy, but generally I just use cold water.
Camper 4-Wheel asks, are you having problems parking anywhere? Tell them where we are.
As far as like trying to find a place right now during the pandemic, not yet. But I have a lot of friends who are starting to have problems. We are in a place where we have friends in town who have RV parking, so I'm still on BLM land, but I'm not too worried about it, because if we have to, we can move to our friend's property.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, so a friend of mine in Oregon works in the National Forest. I can't remember if it's the Willamette or the Mackenzie National Forest. I just talked to her today to ask if they were still allowing dispersed camping in those forests. And she said that they are. Everything else is closed. All the trailheads, everything else is closed. But they're really full. Like, a lot of weekenders, a lot of people who are in Sticks and Bricks are heading to the forest, and the employees aren't allowed to go out into the forest to interact with people. So that could be an issue, especially in the really locked down states.
Right. And you mentioned off-road tires. What's their advantage?
What's the advantage of off-road tires? Traction. I did give up some fuel economy upgrading to my tires when I was When I had the original tires, I was getting about 24 miles per gallon, and now I get about 21 miles per gallon. But I love, I don't have to worry about flat tires, and I don't have to worry about getting stuck in places.
All right. And
Okay.
but we have 50 people in here, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are all here.
52 watching.
This is my first live feed. If you want to see more live feeds, give it a thumbs up and let me know. And
We're around for 35 minutes.
and really think about, what kinds of questions you want to ask me or what you'd like to see in a live feed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think I'll take one more question and then wrap it up.
What part of the country do you like to stay in the most?
I am a West Coast girl. I'm from Oregon, and I do prefer to stay in the West, primarily because the public lands are really plentiful. I did head all the way to New England this past summer, and surprisingly, I didn't have a hard time finding places to stay, and that really surprised me. I thought I would because I've heard that there's no place to stay for free out there. But when I couldn't find a good stealth place or a good boondocking spot, I just stayed at a trailhead. So that worked out really well. But I do prefer the Northwest, and Oregon is probably my favorite.
Yeah, a couple more questions.
Okay.
What's the coldest condition you've been in with the diesel heater in use?
In the teens.
Yeah.
So the coldest that I've been in with the diesel heater is in the teens.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It worked great. I don't like to have it on all night. I like to turn it off at night, but when it's that cold, I will let it cycle on and off. Huh?
It does make noise.
It does, yeah. It does make noise, so.
And do you have a dog?
Do I have a dog? No. The only pet I have right now is Melvin the mouse, who joined me last night. So I don't want the responsibility of having a pet on the road. I like the freedom of not having a pet.
And that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you liked having the live feed, I give it a thumbs up, and I
comments.
and give me some comments. If you so I'm sure that those of you who are catching the replay will have questions as well. So definitely drop those questions in the comments below, and I will see you next time. This is Joni with TheGalavan. Thanks for joining me.